Hi, I'm Will Arnold. I work alongside the investment team at King & Shackson Ethical. Today's video is going to take a look at the history of ethical investing, from 1500 BCE to where we stand today. Socially responsible investing has recently entered the mainstream, with ESG credentials being all the rage amongst investors in the face of social inequalities and the imminent climate disaster. However, the concept of investing within a set of personal values is not a new phenomenon, and it is a rich history that is entwined with religious beliefs and political movements. Ethical investing can be traced back to biblical times in Jewish law, where there was a call for justice and equality, with owners having the right and responsibility for how that holding was used. We can also find guidelines surrounding investments in the teachings of Islam, which today is known as Sharia-compliant finance, which forbids any Islamic institution or individual from investing in areas such as alcohol and gambling. In 1758, Pennsylvanian Quakers enacted one of the first occurrences of socially responsible investing in its current form, when it prohibited its members from engaging in slave trading. Also in the 18th century, John Wesley, the founder of Methodism, outlined his stance on social investing during his sermon, The Use of Money, urging his followers to avoid partnering with those who earn their money through alcohol, tobacco, weapons, or gambling. These are often referred to as sin stocks and form a basic negative screen to this day. Moving forward in time, during the 60s, socially responsible investing took big steps forward in the US as a result of political movements and dissatisfaction with the Vietnam War. Protesters boycotted companies that provided weapons for the war, whilst groups of students demanded that university endowment funds were no longer invested in defence contractors. The first Earth Day was celebrated in 1970, whilst concerns over nuclear energy grew. Reflecting this growing awareness, the Pax World and First Spectrum funds were established that combined social and environmental consciousness with financial objectives. In the latter half of the 20th century, disinvestment took place in reaction to racial and political segregation brought about by the apartheid system in South Africa. This contributed to the collapse of the apartheid system due to the economic instability that was created within the country. The 21st century has seen the introduction of many more funds and initiatives that operate in the socially responsible investment space. In 2006, the United Nations Principles for Responsible Investment was launched, which established guidelines for mainstream investors who wanted to incorporate ESG into their investment practices. In 2015, the UN published 17 Sustainable Development Goals that now provide a springboard for impact funds which target investments that support many of these goals. Today, there is a wide spectrum of capital that covers investments from mild negative screens to high impact funds. ESG data is becoming increasingly available, and from this data, ESG leader indices have been produced and a number of passive tracker funds and ETFs follow them. Whilst the data availability is becoming less of a problem, greenwashing is on the rise, a problem you can learn more about in a previous video. Despite this long history, investing based on personal ethics has long been on the fringes of investment management. When King & Shackson first began running bespoke portfolios in 2002, the market was very limited. Nearly 20 years later, after a year and a half of COVID-19, Black Lives Matter, climate protests and greater social consciousness, ESG credibility is at the forefront of the financial sector's mind, and the scope for our investment process is finally widening.